following is a feature presentation of the Replay Sports Channel, the home for great games.
This is the WFL Inside Access, ultimate pass to everything WFL. Brought to you by Royal Retros, your ultimate one-stop shop representing the teams of the past. www.royalretros.com.
Okay, welcome to the deep dive. We are jumping right in today.
Absolutely.
Because the WFL playoffs just served up some, well, absolute thrillers.
They really did.
And honestly, the buzz around who might be leading these teams next year, it's hitting a fever pitch.
Yeah, the coaching carousel is definitely spinning.
So today we're tearing into the sources you sent us. We've got one that gives us the blow-by-blow on those conference championship games.
Intense stuff.
And another one that really pulls back the curtain on all the latest rumors swirling around the coaches.
Mm-hmm. Lots of movement potentially happening there.
Our mission, as always, pull out the most important insights, the key stats, those little details that maybe get lost in the noise.
Yep, get you up to speed quickly, thoroughly on what really matters from this material.
Exactly. We're going to break down those two massive games that decided the Pantheon Bowl matchup.
Understand the how, not just the who.
Right. And then we'll sift through all these reports, try to connect the dots on which coaches might be packing their bags.
See how teams are already thinking about next season, shaping their identities.
All right, let's unpack these conference championship sources first. And
Right.
Wow, these were two very different games, weren't they?
Completely different vibes. Each had its own, distinct story playing out.
Totally. So, first up, Tampa Bay Bandits versus the London Knights.
Right, the showdown in Tampa, that place was rocking. A real grinder of a game.
And London actually came out firing. McCaffrey gets that early TD.
Yep, and then Brandon Aubrey, the guy was just money, hit everything.
Including that booming 60-yarder early second half puts London up 13-7. That felt significant at the time.
It really did. Felt like maybe London had control. But, what the sources really emphasize is Tampa Bay's response, their resilience.
Yeah, they overcame a pretty sluggish first half, found themselves down 6 deep into the third.
And then Flacco connects with Cup twice, including that pivotal 13-yard strike.
Yeah.
That felt like the momentum just flipped.
It really did. And Gus Edwards. Man, what a workhorse.
Unbelievable performance. So gritty on the ground. Was it 90 yards on 22 carries?
Something like that. Just kept pounding. And then he gets that 14-yard touchdown run late to basically seal it.
And that quote from him you highlighted about trusting the game plan, staying patient.
And taking control when it mattered most. Yeah, that summed up their whole second half, really.
It did, because on the flip side, London's offense just vanished down the stretch.
Total evaporation, inconsistency, missed chances.
Those 3 straight drives after taking the lead that went nowhere. Absolute killers in a playoff game.
And the numbers for Derek Carr under pressure. Oof. Low completion rate, hardly any yards, the INT.
Yeah, that 46.3 passer rating tells you pretty much everything. You just can't survive like that against a good defense.
Meanwhile, Tampa Bay just owned the key areas. Time of possession was nearly 39 minutes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And 140 rushing yards total. They controlled the line of scrimmage.
And the third downs, 13 of 20. That's how you win football games.
Yeah.
Extending drives, keeping the other offense cold.
Phenomenal efficiency. And give the defense huge credit, too. Forcing 2 turnovers, holding London to, 161 total yards.
It's dominant. Yeah, the Bandits threw 2 picks themselves, but they overcame it because they won those fundamental battles.
Exactly. They just imposed their will in the second half.
So the result, Tampa Bay, 13-2-1 now. They're heading back to the big one. Second straight year.
Chasing that first title in 42 years. Huge moment for them. London goes home. Solid 12-4 season, but disappointing end.
Okay, now pivot to the other bracket. Las Vegas Outlaws hosting the St. Louis Stars.
And this game felt completely different. Not the offensive fireworks, more of a brutal defensive slugfest out in Vegas.
Yeah, a real dogfight. And the Outlaws, the potential repeat champs, they managed to hold serve.
They did. And the main story coming out of the sources here has got to be that ground game.
Oh, absolutely. Alvin Kamara, game MVP performance. 120 yards on just 19 carries, just grinding it out, chewing that clock.
He was the engine, for sure. But Singletary chipped in, Taylor too.
Right.
They got 200 rushing yards total as a team. That's dominance.
And it's interesting, Jalen Hurts actually struggled a bit passing the ball, low yards, threw a pick.
Right. But his legs made the difference when they absolutely had to. That 10-yard touchdown run capped off a massive 93-yard drive. That was critical.
Huge. And don't forget Matt Gay. Kicking was vital in this one.
Definitely. That 54-yarder for the first points and the 47-yarder for insurance later on.
In a defensive scrap like that, every point feels massive. Those kicks were clutch.
Ed Todd Bowles' quote about the defense, bending but never breaking. That really captured it, didn't it?
Perfectly. Making stops when it counted. Even with that Denzel Ward injury mentioned in the source, they just found ways.
They did. Now, St. Louis, they definitely didn't just roll over. They made it a tough game.
For sure. They actually outgained Vegas overall 260 to 231. Showed a lot of guts, converted 3 fourth downs.
And that long touchdown drive, the 15-play one to Laporta, that was impressive, methodical stuff.
But the sources also point out why they came up short.
Yeah, the missed opportunities. That crucial early drive, 17 plays, 92 yards, gets all the way down inside the 5.
And comes away with nothing. 0 points. Against a team like Vegas, you just can't do that.
Absolutely brutal. Then you add to his late interception, the drops. 5 drops.
And 11 missed tackles on defense, according to the report. Just too many self-inflicted wounds.
Chip Kelly basically said it, right? Can't leave points out there. That summed up their frustration. They beat themselves in some key moments.
So Vegas holds on. They get the win, which sets up our Pantheon Bowl.
Tampa Bay versus Las Vegas. In London, 2 weeks' time.
And what a contrast. You've got Tampa Bay's balanced rally, winning those key moments, versus Vegas's punishing ground game and that bend, don't break D.
2 very different styles, 2 different paths to get here. It's going to be fascinating.
Okay, now, this is where, for me, it gets really interesting.
Yeah, off-field stuff.
Yeah. Your sources don't just cover the games, they dive deep into all the coaching rumors swirling around. It's like the offseason started the second that final whistle blew.
It really feels that way sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The rumor mill is just, it's in overdrive right now.
And it seems like several teams are ready to make major changes at the top.
Yeah, the reports are suggesting a whole wave of new head coaches could be announced, maybe even pretty soon. It's a glimpse into how teams are already trying to retool for next year.
Okay, let's go team by team, see what the sources are saying. First, the Barcelona Dragons.
Right. Tough year for them, especially on offense. So no surprise the reports say they're zeroing in on someone with QB development skills.
And the name that pops up, logically, is Liam Cohen, the OC from Tampa Bay. Makes sense, given what he's done there.
Fits the bill perfectly.
Yeah.
But then there's this surprise dark horse mention, Robert Saleh.
Yeah, former St. Louis DC NY Generals head coach. That's
Yeah.
a different direction.
Yeah.
More defensive guy, program builder maybe.
Could signal a different priority. Or maybe they just think he's the best leader available, regardless of offensive background. Interesting one to watch.
Okay, next, the Detroit Wheels. Coming off a rough 2-12 season.
Yeah, major rebuild. And they've got the number 2 pick in the draft. Everyone assumes it's going to be a QB.
So the coaching search reflects that.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
The reports heavily link them to Kellen Moore, the OC, from the Birmingham Americans.
Oh, okay. Why him?
Well, his disciplined style, his track record working with younger quarterbacks, apparently that really appeals to Detroit as they look to build around that new draft pick. Seems like a very logical fit if the QB is the absolute priority.
Makes sense. Then the San Antonio Commanders. What's the buzz there?
The word is they want to get back to their roots. Yeah. Restore that defensive identity. Be tough, physical again.
And the name you immediately think of for defenses?
Vic Fangio. Exactly. Longtime defensive guru in this league. He's consulting now, but the reports say he's open to coming back as a head coach.
He's almost synonymous with WFL defense, but he's not the only name.
No, interestingly, the sources also mention Brian Schottenheimer, the OC from the New York Generals.
Huh. An offensive guy for a team wanting defensive identity.
Yeah, it's a bit of a curveball from those unnamed sources. Maybe they're considering balancing things out, or maybe Schottenheimer impressed them in some other way. The report suggests a decision could come fast, maybe even next week.
Wow, okay. Moving over to the Toronto Hitmen. What's their angle?
They're reportedly looking south for inspiration, basically looking at the top team.
And the front runner seems to be
Aaron Glenn, the DC from the Las Vegas Outlaws. His game planning, his ability to adjust defenses on the fly, seen as big pluses. Makes sense if Toronto wants a proven system from a winner.
But there's another name in the mix, too.
Yeah, some buzz around Ben Johnson, the OC from the Chicago Fire. He apparently interviewed after Chicago lost to Vegas in the divisional round.
So kind of the opposite profile, young offensive innovator.
Exactly. It suggests Toronto might be weighing two different paths. Proven defensive coordinator or up-and-coming offensive mind.
Fascinating. Okay, last one. The San Diego Fleet. Sounds like they're at a bit of a crossroads.
That's how the sources describe it, yeah. Do they bring back someone familiar or turn the page completely?
Familiarity meaning.
Vance Joseph, their former head coach. Apparently there's been contact about a possible return, but sounds like it's nothing formal yet.
Okay, and the turn the page option?
The name gaining steam there is David Shaw, the former Stanford head coach.
Interesting. College guy.
Right. And given San Diego's focus on youth, on offensive innovation, Shaw could represent a really bold new direction. Move away from Joseph's defensive background toward someone known for developing QBs and running more modern schemes.
So you put all these rumors together. What's the big picture takeaway?
Well, it's clear a lot of dominoes might fall soon. And it's not random. Teams aren't just hiring any coach.
Right. They're targeting very specific profiles. Offensive innovator here, defensive identity guy there, QB developer over here.
Exactly. Experience with young players seems key for some teams, too. It really shows you what different front offices are prioritizing right now.
How they're already positioning themselves for 2025 and beyond, even before this year's champion is crowned.
It's a really fascinating peek behind the curtain at the strategy involved. How the season's results immediately fuel next season's plans.
And there you have it. We've gone deep into the sources you gave us. We've picked apart the conference championships, the grit, the big moments.
Yep, and pulled back the curtain on all those potential coaching changes shaking up the WFL landscape.
This deep dive really gives you the essential details, right? How we got to this Pantheon Bowl matchup.
And a clear view of the different philosophies at play, not just on the field, but in the front offices too, as teams look ahead.
It's really clear from these reports, teams are laser focused on hiring coaches with specific backgrounds, offense or defense, thinking that's the key.
Right. They believe that specific expertise is what their team needs most right now.
And that focus, well, it raises a really interesting question, something for you to chew on as we head towards the final game and these hires start getting announced.
How much does that specific expertise, being an offensive guru or a defensive mastermind, truly matter for a head coach?
Yeah.
Compared to their overall ability to just lead, to motivate, to build a strong culture and develop talent across the entire team, regardless of which side of the ball they came from.
Something to think about as the confetti falls and these new eras begin.
This episode of the WFL Inside Access has been brought to you by Royal Retros, your ultimate one-stop shop representing the teams of the past. Head over to Royal Retros today and use the discount code REPLAY to get 10% off your purchase. Head over to www.royalretros.com. The link will be in the show description. You've been watching WFL Inside Access Show.